Miahwe, Nenetu Milanovich, Nehen Sahina, Agua Caliente. So, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. My name is Sean, and I am from the Agua Caliente Reservation over in Palm Springs, Ranch Mirage, Cathedral City. I want to talk to you about Juan Antonio. Juan Antonio is one of the most famous Cahuilla people in our history, in our remembered history. But Juan Antonio, he was a fierce, strong fighter for our human rights, for our rights to persevere, to live on this land, to live as we pleased. And Juan Antonio, he was born in the late 1700s, around 1780, and we do know that he died in 1863 due to smallpox. And Juan Antonio, he was from the village of Cahuilla up in the mountains, Santa Rosa Mountains. And when the American invasion started occurring in 1846, and it was just before that Juan Antonio had moved down from the mountain with all of his family members, with several clans. 5 clans moved down from the mountain, down into the San Bernardino Valley. And that's where he lived. And what he was doing, he struck a deal with the Lugo family. And he was protecting the Lugo ranch from horse raiders, from cattle thieves. And in the meantime, you know, he would take some of the profit himself. He would make, when thieves were running up the mountain with some of the cattle and the horses, you know, he would take some aside for himself as well. But really what Juan Antonio did, Juan Antonio was fighting for all of our rights, for all of our protection. He was fighting for the indigenous people here in Southern California, here in Riverside, San Diego counties. He gave his life. And Juan Antonio, he had Iva'a, and that's power. And that's from the natural world. He had that power. And he was trained, Juan Antonio was trained by his elders to work as a liaison with all these invaders, with the Mexican invaders, with the American invaders. And as they intruded on our lands, Juan Antonio, he went out there to check on them and make sure that they were not hurting our people. He also struck business deals with them. Our people would grow crops, and they would sell the crops to Juan Antonio, and Juan Antonio would trade it with some of the invaders. And you know, he was making an industry for our people. And you know what's really fascinating about Juan Antonio, you know, is Juan Antonio Costa Kick, and it was later changed to Juan Antonio Costo. Juan Antonio, he signed the Treaty of Temecula in 1852. Not willingly, no, he did not do it willingly. At first, no, the whole Treaty of Temecula was a deal that was kind of forced onto the people. But Juan Antonio, he signed his name first, and he put his name down there. And by Juan Antonio signing his name, all the other people behind him, all the other 27 people signed their names on that treaty. And so Juan Antonio, he created this deal with the American people, and he allowed the people to settle out into the valleys around his settlement. And later on, after the Lugo Ranch, he moved into the Santa Mateo Canyon for the last 20 years of his life. But Juan Antonio, you know, he protected our people. He patrolled the areas. He went out he went east to the river. He went west to the ocean. He went down to San Diego. He went up into the Mojave Valley. He was patrolling the area. He did not want anybody to come into our area that was going to hurt our people. And a lot of our people were hurt, but he did his best to stop it. And anytime that there was someone out there that he heard about, you know, that was infringing on our rights, he would go there. Many times he went to Los Angeles to talk to the judges, to talk to the administrators there. And he I can't think of the word, but you know, he wanted He was fighting for our rights, and he said we needed equality here. And later on in his life, Juan Antonio said he was an American, and a lot of us think, well, you know, America came afterwards, but what he's really trying to say was, this is his land, this is Cahuilla land, this is Serrano land. And Juan Antonio, he worked with all groups of people. He made all these agreements with all the different tribes, with all the different bands around here, and tribal leaders. He had many people working under him. And his uncle over here, Chief Cabazon, that was his uncle, and they worked together. They worked together to fight for our rights, so that we could be here right now, so we could share this story, so we could talk about it. And the story is meant to be told, you know, and passed down from each generation to generation. So, you know, I encourage you to do your research and learn more about Juan Antonio. Aloha.